Guys, welcome back to my channel. Today's video is something that I have been into since I was in 8th grade, and this is something that really there are some things that we learn at school, but some things that the school doesn't teach us, our family doesn't teach us, things that we really need to learn but nobody teaches us. I learned those things from what I'm going to share today. And what I'm sharing today is that this is Hinduism for the youth, and books that will introduce you to Hinduism and the Hindu scriptures in a simpler manner than reading the exact text, like the Sanskrit text or their translations. So these books are what shaped my knowledge of all the scriptures throughout the years. But I do want to mention that please do not take any of these books as facts. They are referred to as, some of them are referred to by the author itself as Hindu mythology. So if you want to verify the facts, like I never used to just read a book and be like, okay, this is exactly what I'm gonna think of Ramayana as, like this is Ramayana for me now. Like no, I used to always research more. I used to like read a lot on internet, and I used to, even when I went to any mandir or anything, I would like sit with the pandit and be like, ki mujhe batao ki, isme se matlab which one is the true one, like which one is the real story, which ones are facts, like has to be taken as facts. And they always told me that there's so many different versions of these books, like you can never say that this is real or this isn't real. So then I realized, like this is what I'm telling you. When I used to research someone, this was back in 8th grade. So when I became a bit like older, one thing that I realized, that these scriptures, they're not to be taken as exact words, like stories that you're gonna believe and be like, this is what it is. I'm not saying they're not what it is, but don't take them as just facts. Instead, take them as stories trying to teach you something. Like these are stories that are teaching you morals and values. So focus on the morals and the values more than on the text when you read them. So I'm going to recommend you some books that really help me understand. And I think for any youth who wants to like learn about Hinduism and Hindu scriptures, it's not just for Hindus. These scriptures have knowledge that are far beyond religion. They have knowledge like philosophy and all these things that will make your life and your decisions and your just the chaos of thoughts in your mind much more simpler and better. So don't take it as a religious talk. And for like all the Hindu youth who knows nothing to very little about the scriptures and stuff, these books are really like fun to read, and they will really indulge you once you start reading recommendations that I have for you today. So number one is obviously the most famous text, which is the Gita. So to read the Gita, like my Hindi is terrible. I have been terrible at Hindi ever since I was in school, and I didn't study Hindi after 7th grade. So this is basically Bhagavad Gita. Keep reading it until you understand it, and I promise you, every time you read this book, you're gonna feel like you learned something new, no matter how many times you read it. Now, Gita is basically a poetry. It's part of one of the books called the Mahabharata, which I will come to later. It's like this one phase where Lord Krishna and Arjun have this conversation before the actual war, which I will talk about later. So this conversation was when Arjuna was like, I cannot fight this war because on the opposition, it's my family, it's my grandfather, my cousin brothers, and I cannot fight a war against them. And Krishna explains to him about the truth of life, basically. The conversation was not heard by anyone else except Arjuna, which is why he was like Krishna's best friend. And this text is like a summary of everything, sort of, that you can see. Like I highlight a lot and I literally write down notes and stuff when I study this. Favorite quote from the Gita is one of these. It says, intellect is superior to the mind, that which is superior to the intellect is the self. And there is one that says, passion and hatred are seated in the senses in relation to their objects. One should not come under the power of these two. They are indeed one's enemies. Like, these are texts that you can't just take literally. You really have to understand them. Now, one thing I want to share about Gita, it has helped me so much in life. Every time I had to take a decision and I didn't know what to do, I would just come in my room, I would calm down, I'd take the Gita, and I would flip through the pages and not look at it, and then whichever page my hand lands on, I would read that page, both of those pages, and make my decision based on that. And I've made a lot of healthy and good decisions because of it. Now I want to tell you one thing. So in Hinduism, the scriptures are divided, right? So we have 4 major scriptures called the Vedas, which Veda, the word means to know. It's basically knowledge. And then there is Itihas, which means history. So for Itihas, we have 2 major texts, which is Mahabharata and Ramayana. Now Mahabharata is my absolute favorite book ever. In all the books I've ever read in my life, not written, Mahabharata is something I just love that book, because it's the only book that has every genre in it, and like every emotion is described in that book. You see every kind of relationship. A mother book is just like, nobody can write a story like that. I'm sorry if this is a generalization, but for me, it's the best book ever. This is the Mahabharata that I first read, and I've read a lot of different books about Mahabharata, but this is like the most descriptive and easily explained and more like story-like book. This is by Devdutt Patnaik, and the condition of my book is really bad because I bought this in 8th grade, and since then I've read it like, I don't know, 20 times. I just love this book. It's called Jaya, not Mahabharata. I'll tell you why it's called Jaya. It's called Jaya because the concept of Mahabharata, like there's this really big concept that people don't really mention, like in the TV shows that come about it and stuff. It's like, so the word God, G-O-D, right? It stands for generator, operator, and destroyer. So Vishnu is the operator, the middle one, right? So he's like one of the main gods in Hinduism. And this doorstep, there are 2 doorkeepers. Their names are Jaya and Vijaya. Now Jaya is like, what the word means is victory over self, and Vijaya is victory over the other, right? So in human life, like in Mahabharata, this is the concept that's like deeply embedded in it. It's like in human life, we focus so much on getting victory over others. Like between countries, they want to win over the other country. But the biggest war is with ourselves. Like, we have to win over ourselves. So in Hinduism, there's a concept, according to this book, that when you win over others, that's Vijaya. But when you win over yourself, that's Jaya. And the only person in the entire Mahabharata to acquire Jaya was Yudhishthir. Because in the end, when there's a part where they walk to the heaven, everyone dies before reaching heaven. But Yudhishthir, in his human body, is able to enter the heaven, and later he goes to Vaikunt. Vaikunt is where Vishnu lives, which is like above the heaven. And only Yudhishthir is able to go there because he's the only one who acquired Jaya. Basically, he won over himself instead of winning over others. So that's why this book is called Jaya, not Mahabharata. But Mahabharata is the name of the main war that this whole book leads to. This book, as I said, is my favorite book. I will just read the summary to you to give you a glimpse, because I can't tell you everything. This book has so much about it. The summary says that Mahabharata is an ancient Hindu epic where a son renounces sex so that his old father can remarry. A daughter is a prize in an archery contest. A teacher demands half a kingdom as his tuition fee. A student is turned away because of his caste. A mother asks her sons to share a wife. A father curses his son-in-law to be old and impotent. A husband lets another man make his wife pregnant. A wife blindfolds herself to share her husband's blindness. This goes on and on. This is all true. This happens in the book, but this is not the main point of the book. It's just like, I think, to make it catchy so you can buy the book. But I'm telling you, this book has so much knowledge, and this book has every scenario, every scenario that you can relate to your own life, sort of, at points. And in this book, the best thing that I like about it is that this author writes down in a gray box like facts related to the text that we're reading, which is so nice. So my second recommendation is Ramayana. This book is called Sita by Devdutt Patnaik. The reason this book is called Sita is because this is from sort of like Sita's point of view and more about Sita, what she went through. So Ramayana is an epic about by his mother to go and live in the forest for 14 years as a like exile, because like this mother was insecure that her own son won't get the throne, but the son itself, they were all brothers from different mothers but the same father. They loved each other so much that they didn't want to like separate, and they like, but the mother was like kind of poisoned by this one maiden that she had. Really, compared to Mahabharata, a much calmer book and much sorted kind of book. It doesn't have like a lot going on. It's more like a direction-full story. In Mahabharata, there are a lot of different stories going on together. But the reason I like Mahabharata more than Ramayana, this is my personal opinion, please don't hate me for it. It's because in Mahabharata, women are shown as so much more powerful, and Ramayana women are kind of shown as like Sita goes through a lot in her life. Honestly, I always cry when I come to the part when she is like freed from Ravan, who like abducts her, by Ram. When she's freed, and then Ram is like, I'm not gonna take you, you need to do this Agni Pariksha, or like, I won't take you because I know you're chaste, but the people of our kingdom won't like agree to it. Like, I felt so bad. Like, she's the one who was abducted, kidnapped, and kept there for like so long, crying every day. She lived literally in a forest. She didn't even live inside his house because she was literally the purest woman you can ever think of. She only had eyes for Ram. They had a beautiful relationship, honestly. They were like literally, they were so beautiful. But she was like told that I can't take you because you lived in the other man's house, and she went through the fire. And there are a lot of different stories about this whole Agni Pariksha thing. I've read a lot of them, but she's the queen of Ayodhya. But then later people started talking again, and the thing in Ramayana is that basically, I'll say this in Hindi because you know, एक धोबी होता है जो उसकी वाइफ प्रेग्नेंट होती है, एंड वो रात को मतलब बहुत ज़्यादा तूफान आ जाता है, किसी और के घर पे रुक जाती है, एंड देन the dhobi next day doesn't let the woman come घर में वापस. So the woman goes to the darbar कि अपनी problem लेके कि my husband's doing this, and the whole thing happens. Then Ram dresses up as a commoner and goes and sees कि प्रजा में हो क्या रहा है. जब वो प्रजा में जाता है and देखता है तो वो लोगों की बातें सुनता है, and then the people are saying कि राम अपनी बीवी कहीं और रह के आई होगी किसी आदमी के घर, उसको रख सकता है, हम नहीं रख सकते. And they were talking this about Sita, and he doesn't tell Sita कि क्या. So Sita अपनी maiden को भेजती कि तू जा देख के आके क्या बात हो रही है, ऐसे ही कि इतने disturbed है. तो वो देख के आती है, and then she gets to know, and then she's like कि she decides to take a vanvas again, and she's pregnant with twins. I just feel like as a king, Ram is supposed to set an example. If he would have let you know, Sita stay and make sure that no woman has to go through this, like, you're not supposed to prove your chastity to the whole country, right? And then he doesn't do that. But Sita makes her own decision too, and then later when she comes back with her kids when they are grown up, Ram is like कि सीता को मतलब वो बोलना होगा कि वो पवित्र है, मतलब उसे अपनी पवित्रता फिर से प्रूव करना है. द रीज़न सीता छोड़ के जाती है अयोध्या इसकी इन लोगों को पश्चाताप होगा इन्होंने मेरे साथ जो किया है, एंड देन दे विल लर्न फ्रॉम देयर ओन पश्चाताप, बट they don't learn. She comes back and everyone's like asking for forgiveness, and Ram is like कि दोबारा से तुम एक बार बोल दो कि तुम पवित्र हो, वचन दे दो, and then we can continue अपना. And then Sita is just like, this is enough. She says this कि धरती माँ मुझे ले जाओ क्योंकि ये दुनिया औरतों के लिए it's not good. इन्हें औरत का सम्मान करना नहीं आता. And then the earth takes her in the, like, she goes inside the earth. Basically she just goes, you know. Alright, next recommendation. we have covered the Itihasa. Now it's the Vedas. Now obviously the 4 Vedas themselves are like really big, so unko sabko padhna it's really hard. This is the Holy Vedas. It's like a summary of all the 4 Vedas. It's the Rigved, Yajurved, Samved and Atharvaved ka summary. And this is by Vivek Debroy and Deepavali Debroy. This book, I've read it. It's like summarized really well. Like you can see the text font is so like nice and all, summarized really well. And I've read it. It has the whole essence of Vedas, but honestly I was really curious about what exactly the Vedas are, so I watched on YouTube audiobooks of all the Vedas in Hindi because I can't read Hindi, so I listen to audiobooks. So yeah, you can do that, and if you want to start up, this is a really good book. Vedas are about like knowledge. A lot of Vedas are summarized into Upanishads. I will talk about Upanishads. There are a lot of Upanishads. I don't know, like 100 or something Upanishads. And I listen to Upanishads on audiobooks because I could not buy so many of them and I have to travel a lot, so I listen to them on. Upanishads basically summarize the knowledge of the Vedas. And one of the Upanishads that I must recommend is the Mandukya Upanishad, which is like I think the 7th, I don't know which. Mandukya Upanishad is called as the hardest Hindu text to read, and if you read this, it's said that you don't need any other spiritual awakening text if you read the Mandukya Upanishad and understand it. For Mandukya Upanishad, I will recommend you to watch this one video. I will link it in the description. It's an explanation by this one person and it's very well explained. Mandukya Upanishad basically answers to the question, who are you? And it's I can make another video about it if you don't understand from that guy's video, but that's like a very complicated concept and I have to make like, this video is gonna become like 1 hour long if I explain it. So let's move on to the next recommendation. Me and my mom, they always read the Hanuman Chalisa like every time they prayed, and I always listened to it but never understood a word. I was like, bol kya rahe hain, samajh nahi aa raha, but it's sunne mein acha lagta hai. But then I obviously, as I was so interested, I wanted to know what it was like. So again, Devdutt Patnaik, I think he's like my favorite author because some people really say that he's not like, you know, a good author, he twists the stories. But देखो, कोई भी like सत्य क्या है, like actual true story किसी को भी नहीं पता है. तो मतलब वो इतने अच्छे से explain करता है, especially for the youth. I think his books are the easiest and the most interesting to read. That's why he's the bestseller. So my Hanuman Chalisa, the reason he uses, I love this about him, that he uses this my in front of the title because ये उसकी खुद की subjective understanding है book की. It's not like, this is like his own subjective understanding. It's not factual, so you can't really troll him on this because he's like his own opinion, what he understood from it. So my Hanuman Chalisa, it's like his books are, the best thing about his books are like he uses these drawings in them, which makes it like so illustrative and interactive. And my Hanuman Chalisa basically explains each and every part of the Hanuman Chalisa descriptively and in a really fun way. This is Devdutt Patnaik. This is the Hindu Trinity. This is basically a compilation of 3 of his books that I read before. 7 Secrets of Shiva, 7 Secrets of Goddess, 7 Secrets of Krishna. I've read all of these books too. But this is like a summary, so it's better to buy one book than all of them. This book is amazing. I have read this. And the best part is like, he explains in these books, like the scriptures that we find in our South Indian temples and in our North Indian temples, and what do they mean and what was their history. He explains everything in detail. This book is also by Devdutt Patnaik. This is called the Success Sutra. Yeah, the Success Sutra. I lost the cover for some reason. I'm very clumsy, I know. So this book is like using Hindu mythology to give you tips for success, like success in business mostly. He has this book, and there's one more book that I read by him called the Business Sutra. Both of them basically, it's so beautiful and nice how he uses the Hindu mythology to explain concepts of business and success basically. This book is really handy if you want to be an entrepreneur. Like, it really sort of teaches you about, you know, a lot of things in a very learning about Hindu mythology is this book, The Science of Self-Realization. It is written by A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Long name. This person has written it. Now, I got this book for free when I was in Vrindavan. I was in the ISKCON temple, I think, and they just gave this book to me when I was like looking at the books, and they just gave me this book, and it's actually a really nice book. It has a really good font. My eyesight's not that great, so I like the big fonts. This book is not about Hinduism only. This book talks about all the religions a little bit, and it goes. So with this, I am ending my book recommendations, and I hope that these books you guys, if you decide to read any of them, tell me. And if I love talking about Hindu mythology a lot and Hinduism a lot, because I don't like taking things as they are. I want to know a lot, and I'm really curious as a person, so especially when it comes to Hinduism. I've been into it for a very long time. I've studied a lot about it, and I thought this is exactly what the school didn't teach me, that I'm gonna teach myself. And Hinduism and all these scriptures and books have really helped me learn it. And there are a lot of amazing and fun stories. My favorite Hinduism related shows, stuff that's available on YouTube, is the Vishnu Puran, which is a really old show. I watch it with my nani like every day. And then there is the Mahabharata by Star Plus. I really like that one too. And then there was this one show called Upanishad Ganga that used to come on DD National, and it's also there on YouTube. I can link it all in the description if you want to watch it. And it was fun making this video. This is something I really can talk about a lot. As you can see, this video is going to be pretty long even after I edit it. So if you like and you're interested in this, I will make more videos. I will either way make more videos about Hindu mythology in the future. And this is my book recommendations, and I really hope it helps a lot of you. If there is anything that you don't understand that you want me to explain, you can comment it in the comment box, and I will definitely try to make a video about it or answer to you in the comment box based on my knowledge. I can be wrong in a lot of things. I'm not a pro. I'm not received any kind of education in this, so please don't troll me on that. And if you like this video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel for a very diverse kind of content. If you don't like my videos, you don't have to subscribe. That's all I'm gonna say for today's video. It was day when I started, and now it's night. So see you and have a great day.